picture a Jeep, right? You're probably imagining a dusty trail in Moab, a roaring gas engine, and, a massive American flag.
Yeah, that is the classic image.
Right, but the most important Jeep of the next decade is actually being revolutionized right in the heart of Italy. So, welcome to today's deep dive. We're digging into a stack of official Stellantis press releases, Italian automotive critiques, and Motor Authority reports to see how the next-generation Jeep Compass is being completely redefined for the electric age.
It really is a complete reset, and this new Compass is debuting in Europe in 2025 and then the US in 2026.
Okay, let's unpack this,
Yeah.
because the foundation of this whole shift is the STLA Medium platform, right?
Exactly. It completely abandons that old industry habit of taking a gas-powered car frame and just, cramming a battery where the gas tank used to be. It's a native electric architecture.
I mean, it's more like building a modern house with smart wiring built right into the foundation. Or like a skateboard. The battery pack is structurally built flat into the floor from the very beginning.
Yeah, which changes everything about the interior space.
Right, because you don't have a bulky transmission tunnel or a drive shaft running right down the middle of the cabin. You suddenly get a perfectly flat floor, which explains how they opened up the trunk capacity to a massive 550 liters.
And that flat floor also allows them to pack in enough battery for up to a 650-kilometer range. Plus, it eliminates like 80% of traditional wear and tear engine parts.
Wait, 80%? That is wild.
It is a massive reduction in mechanical complexity.
But wait, I have to ask about the weight here. Batteries are incredibly heavy. If you take a compact SUV and add a massive, dense battery pack to the floor, I mean, it's going to sink like a stone the second it hits mud.
Yeah, that is the standard assumption with EVs.
Right. So how does a vehicle this heavy maintain actual Jeep off-road capability, especially that 375 horsepower version mentioned in the reports?
So they solved that weight penalty with just absolute brute force at the rear axle. To hit that 375 horsepower, Jeep put a dedicated electric motor exclusively at the back.
Oh, just for the rear wheels?
Right. And it's paired with a 14-to-1 rear reducer. Think of the reducer like a gear multiplier on a bicycle. By spinning the electric motor 14 times for every single turn of the wheel, it dramatically multiplies the physical force.
Okay, so how much force are we talking about here?
It delivers 3,100 newton meters of torque straight to the rear wheels.
That is essentially tractor-level pulling power.
Yeah, pretty much. If the front wheels are completely stuck in mud or even suspended in the air over a rock with zero traction, that massive multiplied rear torque can physically push the entire heavy vehicle up a 20% incline all on its own.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. With that kind of raw mechanical advantage at the rear axle, it exposes a glaring gap in the current EV market. The Italian reviewers were actually pretty brutal about this.
Oh, they definitely were.
They were labeling competitors like the VW ID.4 or the BYD Atto 3 as nothing more than, quote, raised sedans. Like they have the silhouette of an SUV, but their suspensions and drivetrains are built entirely for pavement.
Yeah, and Jeep is actively defending its rugged heritage by ensuring the Compass actually functions off-road. I mean, a raised sedan will just scrape its battery on a rocky trail.
Right.
But the Compass sits on 200 millimeters of ground clearance. And because native EV platforms seal the battery pack completely from the elements, it can safely ford 470 millimeters of water.
So you can confidently drive through a stream up to your knees without worrying about, flooding an engine intake or frying the electrics.
Exactly.
And they are wrapping all that rugged American capability in a very deliberate layer of Italian pride. Look at the paint options the PR team highlights. They have colors like Volcano Black, which is specifically named after the island in Sicily.
Yeah, they are strategically positioning this not just as an American off-roader, but as a premium European good tailored to the local market.
Which brings us to the Melfi plant in Italy. Building it there serves that exact strategy,
Oh,
right?
definitely. Melfi is renowned for highly automated precision manufacturing. And for an EV buyer in Europe, a locally built platform means parts are stocked across the continent.
Right, so if you clip a mirror on a narrow mountain pass, you aren't waiting 3 months for a replacement ship from an emerging overseas brand.
Yeah, that local production combined with the native EV tech entirely changes the buying equation. Whether you look at the 145 horsepower e-hybrid or the fully electric version, buyers no longer have to choose between a street-smart EV and a vehicle that can actually survive a dirt road.
That is the true hidden revolution here, honestly.
It really is. The mechanical simplicity of that native EV tech is a game changer.
Which brings us to a massive shift in how we'll even own these cars. I mean, think about this. If this new platform eliminates 80% of moving engine parts and regenerative braking does most of the stopping, so your brake pads barely wear down.
Yeah, it completely changes the maintenance cycle.
Right. Could the entire concept of going to the mechanic for routine maintenance become a thing of the past in the next decade?
It is a pretty wild thought.
It really is. Something for you to think about next time you picture a classic oil-leaking off-roader. Thank you for joining us on today's deep dive.